understand what is Brigade REAP and what was
No,
the
absolutely.
inception of what was the inception story of Brigade REAP?
No, absolutely. So, in 2016, when we started, we started before the word prop tech or the industry of prop tech even existed, right? And the reason it was started was because at the time, Nirupa Shankar, part of the leadership team in Brigade, really felt that there was an opportunity to create a platform that allowed startups and innovation and technology to really enable the real estate ecosystem, right? Whether it was to increase sales, reduce costs, reduce carbon footprint. There was a massive vacuum in that space, and that's why REAP was started. It was really started to enable growth in the entire industry, not just Brigade, right? And that's why REAP was started about 6.5 years ago. And in that time, we have worked with early stage startups, 68 of them, and we've selected the 68 out of approximately 1,200 applications of prop tech companies. And we worked with them to kind of help first understand what is the pain point that you're really trying to solve, right? Because we often find startups will find a solution, but there isn't clarity on the problem you're trying to solve, right? So I think for us, the program is really around understanding the problem and making sure that the solution solves that problem, because only then you can build a business that scales, right? So the program has really been designed to get, whether you call it problem solution fit, product market fit, and then build a business around that, whether it's a business model, whether it's a GTM strategy, whether it's a pricing strategy, build your business around that, right? So the program is around spending time in the early days of a startup's journey to figure out those important pieces and foundations of a business. And then post the program, we kind of engage to help introduce startups to customers, to investors, kind of help engage hiring. We work with various legal firms that provide legal assistance, kind of, as a startup goes from early stage to seed, to growth, to Series A, providing them different help, kinds of help along the way. That has been REAP's program all along. We were the first ones in Asia. Like I said, we did this before the word prop tech even existed. And of course, now it's really great to see that there's so many other players doing it as well, because that just expands the impact that all of us can have, as a community of players trying to enable startups and innovation.
You said 68 of them have been part of Brigade REAP. I would say this is an accelerator program. Is the right way to put it? Accelerator
That's
program.
right. It's an accelerator. It is an accelerator program. We have other offerings as well, but largely an accelerator program.
Right. So accelerator does not mean you have invested on those 68 companies. Am I right?
That is correct. We do invest in companies, but we certainly haven't invested in all 68.
Got it. And how many would be a portfolio where you have invested? Is first of all, is investment, is VC a big portion of this, or it is primarily an accelerator?
If you think about early stage businesses, right, while they need mentorship, early stage businesses also need traction and they need money, right? And there's no point providing one in the isolation of others, right? So what we try to do is to be able to offer one or more of the offerings together, right? So we do invest, absolutely. I wouldn't call us a VC at all. Mm-hmm. We do invest because that's just a function of what early stage businesses need. So we have invested in a handful of companies, let's say 7 or 8 perhaps companies across the last 6.5 years. We are, however, making it a larger part of our strategy going forward. Again, like I said, the impetus being that a lot of the early stage startups require funds to kind of get the show on the road, right?
Got it. Okay. And so you mentioned about the vision and the mission of Brigade REAP. So you said it started in 2015. Who were the early people? Like who are the people behind Brigade REAP?
So it started in 2016 and was it was essentially the brainchild of the leadership at Brigade at the time. So, Mr. Jaishankar, Nirupa Shankar, Pavitra Shankar. And
what is Brigade, by the way? Sorry, I'm asking a lot of dumb questions here. So what is Brigade? Is Brigade a different entity than Brigade?
Brigade is the real estate developer group in the South.
I see. Got it. Okay.
One of the largest and most well-known in the country. So it is a subsidiary of the parent real estate developer group.
Cool. And then, and you have been here for the past year or so, right?
Yeah, I'm reading a year this week. That's right.
Got it. So my question to you was, what were so when you start working with these 68 is a huge number, isn't it? First of all, I didn't even imagine India could have 68. I'm sure these are not startups that are competing. They are 68 individual unique problems to be solved. Am I right? Or there
There
are
are, there
some.
are, I think at the early stage level, we don't see it as competition. At least in our
Mhm.
portfolio, we see them a lot as cross collaboration opportunities. We find a
Correct.
lot of our startups working together and finding opportunities to offer a more sort of holistic set of services by playing together. So, for example, if you've got a facilities management startup and then
Mm,
we've got an IoT or BIM startup, right? Can you
correct.
leverage the offerings to create a more holistic set for a
Mm,
customer? Right? And
got
that
it.
becomes really powerful when you start building a sizable portfolio.
Got it. So, what would so if you lay out the 68 on the table, what would it look like? Which spaces are there? Residential, commercial? You mentioned facilities
So it's
management.
a combination. It's a combination of residential, commercial, hospitality, retail.
Mm,
In terms of areas, I would say 50% of them are in the climate tech slash sustainability space, which is interesting because ESG and climate tech have been more at the forefront in conversations over the last, let's say, few years. They
mm,
weren't necessarily, at least in India, 6.5 years ago, right? So it's pretty incredible
mm,
that a company that was founded 6.5 years ago continues to have a portfolio, wherein 50% are sustainability focused. And I think that just goes to show sort of the also intent of the company and the group on climate tech and sustainability, right? It is a priority for us, and so we're always looking for solutions in the climate tech space. Then we have big data companies. We've got construction tech companies like robotics and 3D printing, software companies in construction tech. We've got your facilities management and smart building. We've got community management. We've got digital marketing. The entire gamut. And the way we look at it is, if there is a play or a solution that can enable the real estate ecosystem in any way, right? Some call it urban tech, some call it prop tech. I mean, and for us, those are almost limiting in some sense. I mean, because we look at any startups that will, in some shape or form, create value for a real estate company. And I'm not just talking developers, right? It could be architects, it could be civil construction companies, it could be brands like Jaguar. And in some cases, the application is for an enterprise, right? So it's a fairly broad kind of definition, but those are really the areas in which our startups play.
got it.